I know that you're always scared. Tell me something slight. Listen, I'm mine. Do you have that something that I need in mind? Son, love me, baby. Tell me what I wanna hear. Tell me that you love, tell me that you love me. Love me, baby. Tell me what I wanna.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel again today. We're back with another video and another Black Lives Matter topic. Today we're going to be talking about Elijah McClain and one other young lady, and I'll get into that later in the video. But for starters, we're going to be talking about Elijah McClain and his untimely, unfair, deserving of justice murder. So before I show some videos and some footage that I have of the incident, what we have so far, I'm going to go into a little backstory of who Elijah McClain was, and what happened. So he was a young man who was a massage therapist. He was only 23, and he loved animals, and he loved playing his violin, and minding his business, and just being an all-around decent citizen, unlike most people I feel in 2020. But that's another topic. And what happened was last August, police officers in Aurora, Colorado, approached 23-year-old Elijah McClain as he walked home from a convenience store. The Aurora Police Department later said that a 911 caller had reported a suspicious person in a ski mask, and that when officers confronted McClain, who was not armed and had not committed any kind of crime, he resisted arrest, quote unquote. In the 15 minutes that followed, the officers tackled McClain to the ground, put him in a carotid hold, and called first responders, who injected him with ketamine. He had a heart attack on the way to the hospital and died days later after he was declared brain dead. And as you can see here, he's just waiting in line calmly, minding his own business. And I'm sorry, this video alone is like a minute of him just standing in line and making his purchase. But you can see he's not doing anything and bothering anyone. You can tell he's very petite on camera. He's not doing anything to anyone. As you can see, he pulls out his wallet and proceeds to pay for his food or his items.
He was wearing a ski mask. People who know him say he got cold easily because of anemia. Someone called the cops because of the mask.
Stop. Stop. I have a right to stop you because you're being suspicious.
They put him in a chokehold.
Give us some more units. We're fighting them.
One that has since been made illegal in Aurora. He pleaded with them to stop.
I heard you and I'm different.
He come out? He's out? Was he out?
I heard some snoring.
He wasn't completely.
He didn't lose consciousness.
Yeah.
I'm just different.
He tried to grab my gun.
That's all. That's all I was doing.
It was actually Rosenblatt.
I'm so
He reached for
sorry.
your gun, dude.
I have no gun.
That's where I tried carotid.
I don't do that stuff. I don't do any
Two
fighting.
other units that are not here.
Why
They can
would you
slow it down a
tell
little
me?
bit.
Millions of people now know those words.
And yes, that was a video, courtesy of MSNBC and, well, YouTube and other social media platforms. I'll list them below. I'm going to give you all a quick little read on who he was again so you all can see it for yourselves. Mr. McClain was a massage therapist who is said to have loved animals, who taught himself to play guitar and violin, according to The Cut. A photograph of Mr. McClain playing the violin for stray cats, which he believed helped soothe them, has gone viral. A GoFundMe page created by Shanine McClain. Mr. McClain's mother had raised nearly $1.5 million by Thursday afternoon, and more than 3 million people have signed an online petition demanding that the officers involved be taken off duty and that there be an in-depth investigation of the encounter.
Happy super late birthday.
Nice. Wait, really?
No, it's
Really? I was like, no way, this is a luau party. There
you go.
Wow.
No.
People have been holding vigils, which have turned chaotic, with the police coming in.
You've got to be kidding me. No!
The police have been under fire for this since those attacks at his memorial service. This article further goes on to explain how Elijah was forcibly arrested and he was not suspected of any crime, and it explained that, and it basically goes on to say how the police officers are basically bullies with badges. They claim to have finished the investigation and they will release all materials related to the inquiry. This will include reports, photographic evidence obtained, officers' names, and any final determination in which can rise to the level of termination, Wilson said. I'm just really tired of hearing about these things at this point. It's very sad and disappointing to see where our country is headed, and I just pray and hope that the family gets justice for this young man. He seemed and looked like such a sweet, innocent young man. I don't understand. It's just so sad. It's always the good ones that seem to go. This really does break my heart. Honestly, he just looks so innocent, and you could tell by looking at him, like, he just seemed like such a sweet dude. Like, he had such a great demeanor, It's really disappointing, but this is America now, I guess. And please stay tuned for my next topic. Be breaking news to some. This story is a few days old at this point. A woman was shot to death at her residence, and a female suspect is arrested in Charlotte, North Carolina. Deshae McCain, 22, is accused in the murder of Aviana Carter, 21, in Charlotte, North Carolina. Aviana was shot and killed on June 22, 2020, on Montague Street in the afternoon. Upon the shooting, Aviana was sent to the hospital. She was pronounced deceased at the hospital. During the course of the investigation, Deshae was identified as a suspect. Deshae was interviewed by homicide detectives, and at the conclusion of the interview, she was charged with murder and transported to the Mecklenburg County Jail. 6 people were killed in Charlotte within 24 hours from June 21st, 2020 to June 22nd, 2020. It's very unfortunate that this happened to this young woman. She was very beautiful. I'm going to be showing some tweets so you guys can kind of make your own assumptions and read them. So you guys can see how nonchalant Deshae was, Aviana's murderer, and just the whole thing. Stay tuned. Next is where Deshae appears to be nonchalant and doesn't seem to care that she just murdered someone, and her own girlfriend at that. This tweet reads, "She really said if I go missing, y'all know what's up. Like she didn't just murder someone." And the next tweet reads, "This is severe mental illness. And for the ones who are inquiring, why did she do it or what did she do? It doesn't even matter. And it's irrelevant." We're going to be showing statistics on intimate partner violence and sexual abuse among LGBT people. I think this needs to be draw more attention to, especially for Black Lives Matter and Black LGBT relationships. I think that it needs to be brought to light, the types of things that can go on in these same-sex relationships that occur more so apparently than in heterosexual relationships. Please stay tuned. Here it says, most studies found a lifetime prevalence of intimate partner violence among LGBT people that is as high or higher than the general population. Research shows that LGBT people face barriers to seeking help that are unique to their sexual orientation and gender identity, including questions about individuals' sexual orientation and gender identity, and representative surveys would advance this area of research. Now here it reads, lifetime intimate partner violence and lifetime intimate partner sexual violence. We need to talk about both, but mostly we're going to be talking about intimate partner violence in general. The general population for men is 28.1% and women is 32.9%. And for sexual violence, men is 8.0% and women is 15.9%. And this is the general population. Now, for heterosexual people, it is 28.7% for men in partner violence and 32.3% for women. And it doesn't say, for sexual intimate violence, but for women it's 15.3%. Now down here, for bisexual people, the lifetime intimate partner violence for men is 37.3% and 56.9% for women. And for sexual intimate partner violence, it is 40%. Now down for gay and lesbian couples, it is for men 25.2% and for women it is 40.4%. That's a huge difference from men to women, if you ask me. It's for bisexual and gay and lesbian couples. And for intimate partner sexualized, well, there's nothing here amongst men. But even the 40% of appears to be women on women or anything. It's extremely high numbers compared to the men. And I'm actually surprised. To me, honestly, for intimate partner violence, this may seem sexist, but I would have assumed it would have been more male on male crime. I'm actually really shocked, and I'm just learning this now as I speak, that it is higher by a long shot with women. This just adds further to the discussion for today. These are 9 quick statistics about domestic violence in the LGBT community. I'm not going to read all 9, but I'm going to go through some of the crucial ones that I thought were important. So number 1 was 43.8% of lesbian women and 61.1% of bisexual men have experienced rape, physical violence, and or stalking by an intimate partner at some point in their lifetime, as opposed to 35% of heterosexual women. That is insane. Think about those numbers. And this is women on women relationships mostly, okay? Number 2, 26% of gay men and 37.3% of bisexual men have experienced rape, physical violence, and or stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime, as in comparison to 29% of heterosexual men. In the study of male same-sex relationships, 26% of men called the police for assistance after experiencing near-lethal violence. In 2012, fewer than 5% of LGBTQ survivors of intimate partner violence sought orders of protection. Number 5 is transgender victims are more likely to experience intimate partner violence in public compared to those who do not identify as transgender. bisexual victims are more likely to experience sexual violence compared to people who do not identify as bisexual. LGBTQ Black African American victims are more likely to experience physical intimate partner violence compared to those who do not identify as Black African American. Honestly really insane to me that this is women on women having all these problems. I am honestly shook. I never thought that these types of things would happen. I'm learning as we speak right now, and I did not even think it was like that. Now, I've heard about intimate partner violence in the LGBTQ communities and how important it is. I guess because they feel as though they're the same gender or something, so they feel like they can kind of do whatever they want because they feel like they don't have to respect certain boundaries. Maybe people are a little bit too comfortable, but no, that needs to stop. That is not okay, and that's extremely scary to me that this is women on women. Like, I'm shook right now. I am shook. There are several aspects of intimate partner violence which can be unique to the LGBTQ community. Outing or threatening to reveal one's partner's sexual orientation or gender identity may be used as a tool of abuse in violence relationships and may also be a barrier which reduces the likelihood of help seeking for the abuse. Prior experiences of physical or psychological trauma such as bullying and hate crime may make LGBTQ victims of domestic violence also more or less likely to seek help. Types of domestic violence affecting the LGBTQ community. 20% of victims have experienced some form of physical violence. 16% have been victims to threats and intimidation. 15% have been verbally harassed. 4% of survivors have experienced sexual violence. And 11% of intimate violence cases reported in the NCADVP's report involved a weapon. This article states a study suggests that same-sex relationships suffer higher levels of domestic violence than heterosexual ones. Why is this, and how are Americans dealing with the problem? The article later goes on to explain that LGBTQ people often feel as though the domestic violence label appears to heterosexual people, and of course the things mentioned previously that makes them feel like they cannot come forward and identify with this type of abuse and try to seek help and intervention. I will be linking this article below so you guys can read it if you guys are further interested. But I personally believe that all violence is violence and attention needs to be drawn to it one way or another, especially at a time like this when it's affecting Black Lives Matter at this moment. And other barriers to seeking services and receiving assistance are societal beliefs that domestic violence does not occur in LGBTQ relationships, and unfortunately, I literally believed that until just now. Potential homophobia from staff, service providers, or from non-LGBTQ domestic violence victims that may come in contact with lack of appropriate training regarding LGBTQ domestic violence for service providers, a fear that airing the problems among the LGBTQ community population will take away from progress toward their equality and fuel anti-LGBTQ bias. Domestic violence shelters are typically female only, and transgender individuals may not be allowed for their interests due to their gender or genital legal status. The dangers associated with outing oneself and risking rejection from family, friends, and society. The lack of or survivors being unaware of LGBTQ friendly assistance resources, and also low levels of confidence in the effectiveness of the legal system for LGBTQ people. Honestly, I'm really sad to find out this. I'm honestly just learning with you guys as I speak. This is extremely disappointing. I had no idea women face these kind of issues in LGBTQ relationships. I didn't know. This makes me look at everything a little differently now. And I definitely feel for Black women who are going through these issues on top of all the other things that are happening in the media against Black women and the attention that they do not seem to receive when it comes to any Black Lives Matter topic, which is why I'm talking about this today. Any type of domestic violence needs to be brought to attention. And, these is just one of the other problems that add to Black women, especially like LGBTQ Black women, domestic violence and situations like this. And obviously and apparently it's much more prevalent in the LGBTQ community. The numbers are there and they speak for themselves. This is extremely disappointing, and this is something that needs to be worked on. I am who I am, and everyone is who they are, and everyone deserves to live, how they want, and they should feel safe to do so. They shouldn't feel like someone's going to abuse them or judge them if they need to seek help for just basic human rights. Nobody has the right to abuse you, no matter what you are, no matter what color, no matter your belief, no matter anything. Nobody has the right to abuse you, and I'm very sorry and to find this out. This is terrible, and honestly, this needs attention brought to it, and this needs to be something worked through, especially in the black community as well. Here's a tweet that reads that this person had bought some art from Aviana the day she was murdered. It's honestly so heartbreaking because she was so talented and so excited to get her art out. Please check on your people going through domestic violence. Keep supporting black creatives. # long live Aviana. I am, again, so sorry to find this out. I couldn't find much of an article on this situation. It is a relatively new story, and it's kind of under the radar at the moment. That's why I decided to bring attention to it and these kind of issues. And no one really talks about these things, and these are controversial topics. I can understand, but no one deserves to be murdered based off of their belief or their views or how they want to live their life. Everyone has a right to their life. It's just so heartbreaking to me. And the fact that her significant other didn't even seem to care that she just murdered someone. You just killed someone, and you're out here being nonchalant. Like nothing happened. Like you're the victim. It's just like crazy to me. And that's honestly another topic that needs to be discussed. How to discuss and work on like mental health in the black community and to bring more awareness to it. And I know it's hard to talk about. No one wants to talk about these things, but it's the step to healing so we can move together and move forward, And this is just so heartbreaking, and all this just seems to be happening at once too, Even though the Elijah McClain incident happened back in August of 2019, and unfortunately I never heard about this until like last month, which is disappointing as well. The news loves to cut out important pieces of information and blame the victims, and this is so disappointing to me. I'm really sorry. I don't even know what to say at this point except for where do we go from here, and we need a solution, and this cannot keep happening. This should not be happening. This police brutality is crazy, and it's just like people are literally getting away with murder. Like, this is crazy to me, and they claim that they can't determine the cause of death for him, and we all heard the video, and the young man had health challenges. We know what it was, and these are the type of things that we need to talk about. And as for the young lady, rest in peace to her. Rest in peace to Elijah McClain and everyone else who is going through similar things, and things happen to them that we don't know about, because this is sad, and these are the type of things that just make life not as smooth as it should be. And all I have to say now is stay safe, everyone, and Black Lives Matter, DC. See you guys next video.